Hello interwebs and welcome to my channel. So, as we all know, it is now October. Spooktober. Is this scary to any of you? Probably not. I look like a fool, but that's kind of my brand anyways. Sorry for that, I'm a huge dork. But, as many of you know, I am a gigantic horror fan. I love horror movies, I love watching obscure horror things, I love horror audio dramas, things like that. And I just recently watched a brand new, kind of obscure horror film that just came out called Scare Me, that I was really not expecting to love as much as I did, but I ended up watching it and adored it. Like, absolutely adored it. And I wanted to just share it with all of you and maybe encourage you to go watch this movie if it feels like something that might be up your alley. Or even if it's not something that sounds immediately up your alley, I would encourage you to maybe move outside your comfort zone a little bit and give this movie a try, because it honestly just deeply impressed me. Now, like I said, this movie is called Scare Me, but unfortunately and weirdly enough, there apparently is another movie called Scare Me that released around the same time and has a very similar logline. So just to be clear, I am talking about the movie Scare Me that recently premiered on the horror streaming service called Shudder, that is directed by Josh Rubin. It is his directorial debut, and it stars Josh Rubin and Aya Cash, who many people may know as Stormfront from this season of The Boys, season 2 of The Boys, as well as Chris Redd, and they're the only actors in this small little horror film. So just to be clear, that's the movie I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the other Scare Me. Don't go watch it. I haven't seen it. I can't recommend it because I haven't seen it. It might actually be great. I really don't know. But I'm talking about the Shudder version of Scare Me. But the basic conceit of this film is essentially we have two writers, one played by Josh Rubin, one played by Aya Cash, who are currently staying in upstate New York during the winter, basically staying in an Airbnb in two separate cabins, and they're trying to write their masterpiece. They're trying to like get inspired and write their next horror masterpiece. But Josh Rubin's character, the writer, is someone who's never had any success. He has never written his masterpiece. He basically is like the wannabe, like starving, like writer artist who like I really want to write that masterpiece, but never really had the skill or follow through to get that done. And then we have Aya Cash, who is essentially, basically you can infer she's a Stephen King type. She is very well known for being a horror writer. A lot of people love her work, and she's just very well known in the writer sphere. And so these two meet, and eventually one night when the power goes out, Aya Cash comes over to Josh Rubin's cabin, and they decide to tell each other scary stories. Just like sit down, talk to each other, and tell scary stories. Which sounds like it's a setup for a really interesting anthology type film. Like they'd start their story, and then it would cut to their whatever short film that gets made that sort of is it's sort of the overarching narrative, and then we cut to these little horror anthologies. But what is so unique and so wonderful about this film is it never leaves them. The whole film is just these two characters telling each other these scary stories. But they so smartly act it out, play it out, and the film does some really brilliant stuff with the editing, with the camera angles, with sound effects and small subtle lighting changes, that it really draws you in to each one of these stories and really makes you sit and feel with them. A love letter to the power of sound effects and camera angles and all this extra stuff that goes into making a horror movie that we don't initially think about, and how really essential and powerful those things are to selling us a horror story. But it's also brilliantly played by both Aya Cash and Josh Rubin. They so fantastically sell each and every story. And honestly, Josh Rubin is great, but Aya Cash might be one of my new favorite actresses. I know she's been in a few other things before this, but between this season of The Boys, season 2, and this movie Scare Me, she has come onto my radar in such a huge way. She kicks butt in this film. It's really just these two acting off of each other. It's a horror comedy, by the way, I should say. There's a lot of comedic stuff going on here too. They're very funny. They bounce off of each other really well. They have such interesting chemistry, with Josh Rubin obviously feeling like he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, something to prove to this sort of like Stephen King, Aya Cash writer. But you end up feeling for both of them. And one of the things that I really loved about this film is that each one of the stories that they tell reveals a little bit about them. and reveals a little bit about who they are. So this story is, yes, there's like individual horror stories going on that are interesting in their own right, but they are told in such a fun, unique way that reveals more about these characters and make you feel for these characters and sort of the emotions that they're feeling and how they bounce off of each other in such intriguing ways and creative ways, and how the writing process gets made in horror films, and how like good ideas can become great ideas if you push them a little bit further, or even dull horrible ideas can be interesting if you put a new twist on it, that I just was not expecting. I thought I was honestly going to be bored by this movie, but I was like, I'll give it a shot. I heard good things, but I thought, I probably won't like it. It's just such a fun time. It's so interesting, and without spoiling, the ending of the film is absolutely fantastic. It is so great. One other thing, too, I forgot to mention is there's another character in this film. There is one more actress in this film. The Uber driver at the start of the film, she's only there for like all of 5 minutes, might be the best character in all the film. If you don't watch any of this film besides the first 5 minutes, I say that's 100% worth it, because that Uber driver character, she was beautifully played. So I full praises to Scare Me. I really loved it. I cannot recommend it enough. It may not sound like it's something for everybody, but I would highly encourage people to give this one a shot, because I think it really deserves your attention. And I just wanted to use my platform to maybe even drive a few people to go watch this film, because it's great. It is truly fantastic. That's it for this video. Just to let everybody know, I have a big announcement in my life coming up later this week. Something big has happened in my life. I'm very excited to share it with all of you. I need to dot a few I's and cross a few T's here and there before I can officially say everything about it. But I'm hoping Wednesday I'll be putting out a video that will be this really big announcement in my life. So please keep an eye out on this channel on Wednesday for some for like a video about what's going on in my life, and something really cool and exciting that I am really looking forward to share with all of you. So keep an eye out for that. But beyond that, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Let me know your thoughts about Scare Me if you saw it down in the comments below. I also have a Patreon where you can help support this channel and me doing my crazy, weird, impromptu reviews of horror movie thing, and discussions of Star Trek and science fiction and pop culture and all that stuff. That's all right here on this channel. But beyond all of that, I hope that you, as always, live long and prosper. A huge thank you to my amazing patrons who make this channel happen, and an extra special thank you to Miranda Janelle, Ashley Allen Bokikio, Eli Bergmas, Ashlyn Solstice, Christina Dalliance, Greg Gillum, Stephen Kleinard, Boyd and Mary Beth Earl, Wellington Marcus, Wayne Twitchell, Buttoneer, Ish the Mad, Munir Amlani, John Steele, Gavin Robinson, William Stewart, Michael Beam, Spock TOS, BBD, Nathan Olson, The Sir Spence, Zach Cody, Bree Beecher, Maeve, Chloe Dollar, Subraxis, Wen Dizzle Bizzle, Tanya Trummer, Gretchen Badger, Dante St. James, Polly Mina, Piston Twisted Garage, Mark the Edge, and Din. I could not do this without all of you, so thank you so much, especially this month.